Hey, what's up everyone? Ethan Ader here with Horizon Hobby, and I just got back from Jonal 2022 at Triple Tree Aerodrome in South Carolina. So during my time at the event, I got a lot of flights in on the InFusion 180. I flew it a lot, I crashed it, and I fixed it. So I practically know this helicopter like the back of my hand now. So I figured now that I'm back, I might as well make another video. So as we all know by now, the InFusion 180 is obviously a 180 size helicopter. A lot of you might be asking the question, wait, doesn't Blade already make a 180 size helicopter? They do. So the Fusion 180 Smart is another 180 size helicopter that is currently in the Blade lineup. So there might be some confusion between the InFusion 180 and the Fusion 180. And you might be asking, okay, well, I only have room for one helicopter, which one should I get? So that is what this video is ultimately aimed towards, is helping you decide which one would be the best helicopter for you. The InFusion 180 or the Fusion 180 Smart. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about their key differences. So first off, let's talk about the drivetrain on each of these helicopters. The InFusion 180 is the first Blade helicopter that incorporates the direct drive main motor. This essentially means that there are less moving parts and no gears to strip, not to mention a super quiet operation. Now the Fusion 180 Smart is more traditional in the sense that it contains a gear-driven main rotor. Although the motor provides plenty of torque and the Fusion 180 Smart is able to hold its head speed quite easily, you still have that main gear to strip in a crash, so that's one more part that you have to worry about on the Fusion 180 Smart. Now let's move on to the tail. The InFusion 180 also incorporates a direct driven tail motor, so there are very little components on it, unlike the Fusion 180 Smart. Essentially all you have to worry about is the tail motor and the actual tail blade itself. Although the tail rotor on the InFusion 180 is a lot more beginner friendly in terms of durability, low parts count, and no mechanical adjustments needed from a crash or setting up, there are some drawbacks that you might see, so let's go ahead and talk about those. Now, in my personal opinion, the biggest drawback with the tail motor is the fact that it's a little harder to tune and it's also more susceptible to oscillations. This is because of the fact that without a tail servo, the pitch of the tail blade is constant and ultimately dependent on variations in motor RPMs in order to keep the helicopter stable throughout its entire flight. This is simply just not as direct as something like a tail servo like on the Fusion 180 Smart, which is able to change the pitch of the tail blade, which ultimately results in a more stable tail. Another downside that I've seen with the direct driven tail is simply the fact that it is very noisy. Now, I've personally flown enough micro helicopters to where I just kind of drown out the sound and it doesn't really bother me. But if you absolutely despise the tail motor sound, then you might want to lean towards the Fusion 180 Smart. But yeah, with the mechanical tail on the Fusion 180 Smart, it technically makes this helicopter auto-rotation capable in the sense that if you hit throttle cut, you don't have to worry about the tail motor shutting down and losing RPM and essentially making the tail uncontrollable. Now, moving on to the difference in power systems. The InFusion 180 is a 3-cell setup, and the large battery compartment is able to accommodate anything from a 3-cell 450 to a 3-cell 850, which allows beginners to achieve those longer flight times. Now, the Fusion 180 Smart has a more advanced power system in the sense that it is a 4-cell setup. Now, as far as versatility and batteries, it's able to accommodate a 4-cell 450 milliamp and not much bigger than that. Now, this may be a downside if you like longer flight times. I personally find that 3 minutes of smack 3D and aggressive 3D is more than enough for me, and usually by then I'm ready to land anyways. But for those of you that like longer flight times, maybe sport flying and stuff like that, you would probably lean towards the InFusion 180 because of its large battery compartment. Now, with the 4-cell setup, the Fusion 180 Smart is going to achieve higher head speeds, and it's ultimately going to feel more floaty and more light, basically more aggressive all around as well. It almost feels like a bigger helicopter in the sense that it has those flight characteristics of a bigger helicopter. Now, if you are a first-time or beginner pilot, or even just a sport pilot, I would definitely lean towards the InFusion 180 simply because of the fact that it is heavier, so therefore it's more stable, a lot more tame, a lot less reactive and squirrely than the Fusion 180 Smart, whereas this helicopter is geared towards constantly moving and doing maneuvers very quickly and precisely. Now, one of the current downsides on the InFusion 180 is the fact that because this is a brand new design from Blade, there are no current aftermarket parts for those of you that like to maybe bling up your helicopter a little bit with a different canopy or maybe some aluminum components like the head or anything like that. Whereas the Fusion 180 Smart, because it's the same airframe as the Fusion 180, which has been out a couple of years. There are many aftermarket parts already available for this helicopter. You can get different canopies, you can go on like Micro Heli, get some upgraded components, things of that nature. But I would definitely stay tuned because I'm sure that soon there will be some aftermarket parts for this helicopter to make it stand out more. All right, everyone, I think we've covered the key differences between the Blade Fusion 180 Smart and the new Blade InFusion 180. In summary, if you're a more advanced 3D helicopter pilot looking for a helicopter that you can do backyard 3D smack flying or big air, super fast, super technical maneuvers, then I would definitely lean towards the Fusion 180 Smart. Now, if you lean towards more beginner or sport flying, then I would definitely look at the InFusion 180, especially because of the fact that you can achieve longer flight times, which really helps with beginners worry more about practicing and not charging batteries. Hopefully this quick little comparison video helps clear up the differences between the two 180 size helicopters that Blade currently offers and ultimately helps you determine your decision in which helicopter might be right for you. So stay tuned, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.